Welcome to Beyond the Velvet Rope with Neal Oates Jr., the podcast that takes you on an extraordinary journey into the world of luxury service. Join us as we unlock the secrets, stories, and strategies behind exceptional experiences. From anticipating VIP needs to crafting unforgettable memories, we'll guide you on a path to service excellence in the realm of the affluent. Let's elevate your expertise and redefine the art of world-renowned service. Here's your host, Neal Oates Jr.
Welcome Beyond the Velvet Rope. Neal Oates Jr. here, and we have a special guest with us here, CJ Wiggins, Claudius J. Wiggins. Hello, sir. Welcome to the podcast.
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, Neal?
I am doing fantastic. I am excited about what we have to talk about here today. But before we do, I want to let people know who I have here with me, who we're going to be listening to, learning from, gleaning some gems of wisdom from. CJ Wiggins, coach, entrepreneur, financial consultant, military veteran.
Yes.
Right. So first, thank you for your service. And we'll talk about how that played a role into the man that you are and what you believe. But I know I just gave some quick highlights, but tell the people, fill in some blanks for us, CJ. Who is CJ Wiggins?
Well, I'm a man, first of all. I would say that because we're having the trouble with leadership of great men in this society right now. But I'm definitely an entrepreneur. My day job is I do taxes for people. I give people financial advice. And I'm an overall, positive person, coach, real estate investor. So I do a lot of different things.
Now, CJ, I do want to jump in here. You said that you are a tax advisor, that you do taxes, but you don't only do, and you're not employee. And I think this is important for our audience. You are the owner, right? So go ahead and pat yourself on the back, man. Go ahead and let the people know. And the reason I say that is because you talked about a leadership crisis and the challenges we have as men and in society. But if they hear you as an employee, they might think one thing. And I think it's important that some of the strategies, some things that we're going to talk about mindset, is coming from an individual who has moved from employee or just one of the herd to being a leader, being a shepherd. So could you just speak to that a little bit, sir?
Yeah. So, I do have a staff that works for me. I don't like the terminology as boss. I try to get my staff to say we're co-workers, we're teammates, because it's a team effort here doing taxes and my tax practice. But entrepreneurship is and leadership is very, very important day by day of running a business. So I do run a business here, and I do like the atmosphere as a team. I build off building teams. I work well with leading teams. That's just me. That's what I do. Yeah. It's a great thing to say you run your own business. You have people that work for you. So it's been a long road. It's been a long road, but ever since I can remember, I was always the guy to lead, to lead the front. So to have the vision, in the Bible it says, "Hey, a man without vision shall perish." So that's something that
now hold on, CJ. You're talking about that dirty word, the Bible, a dirty word that you and I we love to use, right? The good book.
Yeah.
And so we are going to mix faith in here, ladies and gentlemen. And here's what I will speak for on CJ's behalf, is that we believe that there are principles, foundational principles that are found in the Bible that when utilized, they are the key to success. And so we have an unfair advantage, I believe, with our Papa being the creator and owner of it all, right? But CJ, you mentioned about this whole thing. You mentioned leadership. You mentioned being a team, a colleague, side by side, being in there and not wanting it for the title. But would you talk about just your military experience? And even when we talk about where you are now and how you got there in the physical location, first tell people where you're physically located, CJ.
I'm in Hawaii. I'm in Oahu, Hawaii. I'm on the west side of the island, which is the real Hawaii. When you fly into Hawaii, you go to Waikiki. That's Hawaii, but that's like vacation. That's like the tourist trap. But where I'm at, I'm in here with the local Hawaiians, with the native Hawaiians that's fighting for their land over here. So I'm real engulfed. I'm the uncle They call you uncle, auntie here. That's the terminology that, the local Hawaiians use. And I'm definitely entrenched in the culture here. My business, I have, they work for me. So I'm definitely being one of the respected community leaders now. I had to realize that where my business is located at. So, yes.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there. So you're in Hawaii, you are an outsider coming in. You are
Yes.
a not only an outsider but a respected leader in the community. How do you get there? Now we can either talk about the physical geographic location first. Well, yeah, let's start there. How do you end up in Hawaii? Because you were not born and raised in Hawaii. If I'm not mistaken, you are from Daytona Beach, Florida. So you're a
Yes.
Florida boy, but Hawaii in the Aloha state. How does that happen?
Yes, you know what? The military actually brought me here. My ex-wife, I'm no longer married, but my ex-wife, I came here with her. I was in Las Vegas. You know, I was running a business there in Las Vegas. I was in the boxing industry, so I'm quite familiar with, the fitness and boxing industry. But what got me here is ex-wife is in the military, and I decided to come. She was stationed in Kansas, Leavenworth. I was in Las Vegas. We just decided to try to make it work by me coming here. So I would say kind of one thing led to another. Now, when I was serving in the military, crazy story, I wanted to come here. This is the place that I wanted to come. They sent me to Norfolk, Virginia. So I ended up in Virginia, and I was always
Hold on,
thinking that.
CJ. Norfolk, Virginia, and Hawaii. They're a little bit different, right?
Yes,
So
yes.
for you're saying I want my assignment to be Hawaii, and they're like, man, we are not giving this dude what he
Nah,
wants.
nah, nah.
Norfolk, here he comes. But here's what we know. So you still find yourself where you want it to be.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, God really got a way of making your life path go in the direction. It's not on your time. There's one thing I noticed. It's not on your time. It's on God's time. Anybody listening to that might be going through something. Hey, my life is not going the way I wanted to go. It's a lesson in that. It's a lesson of how I even got here in Hawaii. I don't take it back. I got great relations and still communications with my ex-wife. She's a businesswoman. I'm a businessman. Things happen, different paths. We lead different paths in life. So I knew this was my path, is to get back to what God's mission was by being a leader, educating people and coaching people. So I really do think that it's not on your time, it's on God's time.
All right, so CJ, so you end up in Hawaii.
Yes.
So it wasn't through military the way that you thought it was,
Yes.
but you end up there nonetheless, okay? And so now you are a business owner, entrepreneur on the island, and
Mm-hmm.
you're not just someone that fits in. You find that you are a respected leader in the community. First, how do you as an outsider become uncle? Right? What is it about you that the people saw, that the culture saw? And this is not for you to brag, but maybe you have identified or maybe you've asked, said, okay, well, this is what I did. Because many of our audience, they might be in that position, not in a different country or state or different culture, but they might find themselves in an unfamiliar territory and asking, well, how do I get to a position of trust, of leadership?
You know what? That's a great question, Neil. That's something I was thinking about the other day. How did I get to where I'm at, being a person that's respected in the community? And I really think that over the years, that it's just making a commitment to be better than you was yesterday. It's a commitment to know more than you knew yesterday. It's a commitment to challenge yourself, to meet new people, to see different things, to know more. So I'm an avid reader. I read a lot. I've traveled to maybe over 20 different countries in the military, outside of the military. So coming here definitely gave me a cultural expansion of mindset. So I'm around different people, around the Asian community, right? That something that I was like, you know what? How can I connect to these people? What's ways you can connect to people? And you can connect to anybody if you take steps and you take the time to learn the culture. So engulf yourself, wherever you at in life, engulf yourself in knowing the history of the land. And I came here not knowing much, but I read the history of Kamehameha, the King Kamehameha, from 1 through 5 to the Queen of Hawaii. And when she took over they annexed her, and the Marines was on the beach here to kick her out. So I knew the history. So when I talked to the people, they look at me and say, man, how much you know about this place? You know a lot. And I say, well, I respect the places that I go, and I'm not just here to take, and I'm here to give back. I'm here to give back by knowing about the culture and respecting the culture.
And so that's always a big for me with my focus on global business.
Yes.
But there's something that you and I were kindred spirits. So you are big on leadership development and personal growth. And so I know that you just mentioned that you're an avid reader, that if you put a book in front of you, even if it's not a topic or something that you like or love, you'll probably find something to pull out of the pages between the covers. So where does CJ's idea or love or passion and drive for leadership development and personal growth, where does that come from?
Man, Les Brown, man.
Hey, whoa! Don't talk about
Listen, I
Les
gotta
Brown.
drop it. Les Brown, man, the awesome man, storyteller. This guy got stories for days, motivational stories.
Hold on, CJ.
I read his book.
Edugly mentally retarded, right? Come on, everything.
Yes.
Les Brown.
Yes.
Come on, man. You've got to be hungry.
Yes. Les Brown say once you make a commitment, once you make that commitment in your life, life will give you the answers. Listen, don't worry about how it's going to happen. Just make the commitment. Les Brown says it. He says it. Just
now,
make
hold
a commitment.
on. Here's what I want to say. More than him just saying it, you actually believe it and you are living it out.
Yes. Yes.
And so we're going to continue with that, but I get excited. I don't know if you could tell, right? So there are a few things. And here's what I love, ladies and gentlemen. When you see CJ and I interact, when he mentions a word or something, we might go left and right. But the greats, we are connected by this common thread. Right. And so when you hear an impact that Les Brown might have, I'm going to tell you from me studying you, I know that he would be proud of the work that you're doing.
Yes.
Right? Because now you get to carry on the Les Brown lineage. And so go ahead. So I apologize for interrupting, but I got excited too. So Les Brown, that's where the fire, the passion came from. Continue,
yes.
Sir.
Yes, Les Brown, I read his books. I read Tony Robbins' books. Now, these are some of the things that kind of led me on the journey. The ebbs and flows of life kind of put my GPS or my compass pointing north at all times because I read these great men, these great teachers, these great leaders in our space that we're in. I read those guys and I always thought that I'm going to be there. I don't know when it's going to be. And then I took those lessons from those authors and I went back to my upbringing in Florida. My grandmother, my grandfather being a deacon in the church. I went back to those biblical scriptures and then those scriptures started to make more sense with what I was doing in my life, being a leader, being a man, being a teacher. I just told somebody the other day, they was like, what's some of the things that people would say about you? And I said, man, that's a great question. And I said, well, I hope whatever people say about me, what I think about myself is that I'm doing a great job. I'm doing a good job. But I would want people to say, hey, that guy, every day he was willing to tell me something that was going to help me in my daily life. And that's what I get from reading and studying the greats. It's like a little bit more I can learn,
Good stuff. So we talk about you being a coach and your philosophy. So first of all, I'm in love with the philosophy. And so we'll talk about that in a moment. But your philosophy emphasizes transformation and empowerment. I would like to start with transformation. So why is transformation such a big part of what you believe in and what you try to instill in your coaching clients?
Man, transformation is, wow. That's a great question. I think that, your life is like, it's a journey. A lot of people say, you have points in your life. Like your life is based on decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and decisions that you make in your life determines what's going to happen, like how your life is going to go. So just like I said earlier about making a commitment, making a decision. So it's decisions in your life that dictate transformation in your life. And the Bible speaks about be not conformed of this world.
But be
Don't
ye
follow
transformed, yeah.
other people. It talks about that in biblical scripture. So one other thing that you have to notice is that the hardest thing we do each day is making a decision. Oh, some of the greatest entrepreneurs in the space of business keep it simple. Keep it simple. As far as when they wake up, what they do in the morning. It's a routine that you gather. It's some of the things I learned in the military. Some of the things I learned outside of the military is once you make up, what's the decision you're gonna make? Keep it simple. Because throughout the day, we make thousands of decisions. If we simplify our decisions each day, those big decisions get a little bit easier. Because if you worried
Mm-hmm.
about what clothes you finna put on, I got on a white t-shirt and blue jeans now. I don't know how many white t-shirts and blue jeans I wear. I may wear this same outfit for 5 days straight, but I got 3 different shirts. I got 3 or 4 different pair of jeans and sneakers. But I wear makeup, and the first decision I start for the day is I don't need to think about what I'm wearing. I got a blazer coat, white t-shirt, blue jeans. I don't need to think about that. Then I say, hey, what's the next step? Get up, read. I got everything lined in the beginning of the day because what you do in the beginning of the day in the morning kind of sets the tone for the rest of your day.
All right, so I want to continue. So from the audience, you can already hear that CJ and I, we share beliefs when it comes to faith, but you have taken it a step further, right? So you have a faith-based psychology of money blueprint, right? So you just really believe that this thing called the Bible, the good book, the scriptural and biblical principles, it leads to this blueprint, or you've created this blueprint. Why do you now, is this going back to the grandparents? What led you to saying, wait, there is a faith-based principle aside to the psychology of money? Would you share that with us?
Man, it's the faith in money. It's so many scriptures. I'll be here all day trying to prove, not even prove, but just show the people how many scriptures that's in the Bible that's talking about finances, that's talking about wealth, that's talking about health, that's talking about increasing your prosperity in your life. And I think one of Jesus' teachings is that he knew that to duplicate his message, he needed disciples, right? So he got them around and they were preaching his gospel, So when you in business, when you're doing anything in the financial realm, if you want to duplicate your efforts, you got to duplicate your message. You got to learn how to teach other people about the gospel. Now, the gospel, I always tell any religious person, like I got them in my family. I'm a Christian man, but I always say, people, well, CJ, you always talking about money. Where does that say that? Where is these scriptures in the Bible say that about money? And I say, listen, Peter came to Jesus and told Jesus, like, listen, we owe taxes. We owe Caesar taxes, Jesus. Where are we going to find this money at? Jesus say, listen, this is the plan, Peter. Don't worry. Go out into that lake. Go out into the ocean. Cast that hook out. And when you catch that fish, you're going to open up that fish mouth and find the coin. Now, that message in the Bible is so deep and so profound because it can mean one or two ways. It's 3 ways you can interpret that. Because get it, the money that we're seeking is in the idea, right? The ocean is unlimited. You can catch anything out there. The fish is the actual idea. Once you hook that idea, you got to go inside that idea, go into that idea and get the money up out of it. So metaphorically and metaphysically, which I study about the Bible, It's all self truths. It's all metaphysical truths. It's all esoteric truth and esoteric truth. So you can get that knowledge about building wealth, about having faith in self, the same faith that Peter had to have to go out on that water and believe and have faith of what Jesus was telling him. Because if you didn't have faith, he'd be like, man, this dude Jesus, I don't know.
So hold on, CJ.
I
My
don't
question
know.
is, if Peter doesn't have faith, do you even think he goes out there and fishes?
No, no, no. But Peter was one of those rocks. Peter mean rocks. Peter mean rock of faith. Like your name can't be Peter and you don't have faith. So Peter had to have faith to go out there.
Hold on. So all of my Peters, my Pedros who are listening to this episode, man, you heard it from CJ, not from Neal. You all, hey, get your faith up.
Get your
And so
faith.
I want to go a little bit further. And I know you and I, we grew up in the church. We grew up
Yes,
around
sir.
family that believed and that prayed for us when we were too dumb and silly and ignorant to pray for ourselves. But I want to ask you, from the business world, why is it that many of our believers are so reluctant to apply biblical and scriptural truth to their business practice when we're going to say secular brothers and sisters, they don't care where the truth comes from. They don't care where the principle comes from. They're saying, hey, it shows that this works. Now, is packaged as how to 7X or the success secrets, but they're all biblical truths, right? They're going to be Proverbs. They're going to come from the book of Ecclesiastes or something like that. But why do you think that so many believers have a hard time believing that the word still applies to them and their professional practices?
You know what? It's a great separation, like I was saying earlier, with how to apply scripture to your life. Like, because we grew up in the church and we grew up looking up to the pastor. So it's our interpretation of poor righteous teacher, like a pastor having a congregation and the pastor saying, hey, this is how I'm interpreting the Bible, and I'm telling my congregation how to accept the word. It's for you to go in. Like they say, the church is really not a building. The church is within. So the believers, non-believers out there that's not using biblical principles inside their business, they have to separate what they learned in the past. So we must come anew each day. It said that in the Bible. We must come to our lives every day as a renewed person to look, take a second look. That's what research means. It says, search again. Research. You must research and interpret and get rid of the word and how you thought it was in the past and try to understand it in a different light. So it's a separation that we have to get to say, man, what I was taught back then, it's not that, it's this now. I can utilize these scriptures and I'm looking at it as a new. So I always say, go to get Bible contemporaries, go listen to people on YouTube, and you will see how the words will be manifested for and in your life to prosper your life. So a lot of, and I do get a lot of people out there that say, like, CJ, well, how does this relate to this part in the Bible? I was like, it's there. You just got to see that it's there. I can show you, but don't mean you're going to understand what I'm saying. But I'm utilizing it in my everyday life and my business. So, yeah.
All right, good stuff, CJ. Now, I want to transition a little bit to talk a little bit about you and your coaching business, the philosophies, the principles that you use. So how has your personal journey influenced your coaching style or your leadership approach when you're working with clients?
Oh, man, I think the main thing, and I was talking to my business partner last night. I told you at the beginning, it's like that journey that it takes to be a man, to be a father. And to be a father is not just to be a father physically, it's to be a father of knowledge or to give back to the community. So the biggest thing that my world travels, my connections overseas in Asia, like all the places that I've been, that I got a chance as a young man to explore. I think all those teachings just in my life, meeting different people, doing business in different states, different countries now that I'm able to give back to a young man, and not to say that a person my age couldn't get this knowledge. I will give it to them too, but just for somebody that's seeking and searching, like I was as a young man, going to different places, I'm able to give back and give those teaching and lessons that I had from great mentors. I had some great mentors in the military and outside of the military, guys that was well read, that was well respected, that I got a chance to meet.
All right, so CJ, we're going to get to your mentors here in a moment because I know you did something fun not too long ago. But you said guys or people your age, you look like you're 21, sir.
Yeah.
And I want to be very clear. This is something that in our pre-discussions, I was like, man, this dude has done a lot. I almost equate you to a Forrest Gump, right? You know how Forrest Gump had lived like 14 lives and he was never over the age of 40, right? He met 16 presidents. He fought in war, did a Bubba Gump Shrimp Company. And so when I look up CJ Wiggins, and I look at the resume and the businesses and the journey, the ups and the downs, right? I'm like, man, that's a lot for a 21, 22-year-old guy to have done. Are you willing to share your age, or are we just going to say you got the Benjamin Button disease, that you just get younger as you get older?
No, I get that a lot. People come into my office. They talk to my people. They look over in my office. Who's that guy? Like, he must just be a worker.
Intern, baby, come on.
They like, who's that guy? And they be like, you look real young. Like, you can't know all this stuff. I just sit up there and look at him. I say, oh, thank you. And then, well, how old are you? Like, you're like 28 or something. Like, look at you. I was like, listen, I got a little gray hairs that's starting to come in, but I shave. But yeah, I'm 40. I'll be 41 coming up here in October. So
Good
yeah,
stuff.
it's health and wellness is the game. Eating properly, drinking enough water. That's a whole different side of me that where I can provide. Because I spent 15 years in the fitness industry. I owned gyms. I was a trainer, coached other people. So yeah.
See, CJ Forrest Gump Wiggins. See, I've told you, right? He just mentioned that he did something for 15 years. You're like, man, how are you old enough to do anything for 15 years?
10 years.
So you've mentioned leadership. You've mentioned reading. You talk about being well-traveled. And so when we put all this together, we start to understand who CJ Wiggins is and how he thinks and where the philosophy comes from the grandparents, and having a biblical and scriptural foundation. But you value mentorship and guidance more than anyone else I believe I've ever met. So whether it's mentorship through audio programs or reading books or meeting people and going under their wings, you were just on the Asian continent not too long ago, and it was not just for vacation purposes.
Yeah.
You were there because you have a mentor. And I think it's beautiful, and I want our audience to understand this, is that you traveled just to sit up under. You physically went to a geographic location.
Yes.
You invested to spend some face-to-face time with someone who means a lot to you. Could you first tell us why you felt it was so important for you to not Zoom, not do anything virtual, but to sit underneath and to get face-to-face with one of your mentors?
Yeah, well, Neal, mentorship, and it's so important. All successful people have mentors.
Say that one more time, man.
All
Come on, brother.
successful people have mentors. I don't care if it's one mentor, two. I got 3 mentors. Now, who we're talking about in Malaysia that I went to visit was an 8-figure entrepreneur that I respect highly. I actually met him in Las Vegas, and the guy, you wouldn't know this guy is loaded with cash. You wouldn't know it. He had me fooled for like 2 years. But
hey, CJ, that's that sneaky affluence, right? Hey, just down to earth, personable, and man, he is killing it, brother.
Yeah, what I started to find out over the years, I've been knowing him now since 2012 or 13. And I didn't know that this guy had all this stuff, and who he was, he just never shared it because he was so humble. And I was like, man, I got to stick close to this guy. And more as I started opening up to him, I found out he's a real estate guy. He started telling me about trust, estate planning, businesses that he had all around the world. Like, he opened up my mind to being an entrepreneur seriously, like in different countries.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he was also a writer. He was a journalist. And that's how he got his money back in the day. And then he went into business overseas, doing business overseas, to come back to the U.S. to be successful. Because he said, if I can do it over there, I can do it here too. So he's had a lot of successful entrepreneurship journeys. And he was willing to say, hey, come on over here. You know, he's in his 60s. He's getting up there now. And he's like, hey, I want to give back. I want to talk to you. And hopefully I can give you something that can help you on your journey, because I see where you're going. I see the type of influence that you have on where you're at in Hawaii. Because he used to live here. He had a business. He had 2 businesses here in Hawaii that made a lot of money. And he sold him and his business partner. So he's been all over. And I definitely respect to have different mentors in my life, because you do need it, because that person always probably going to be already been through or already seen what you're going to come up and see in life and in business.
So, CJ, here's what I want to ask you. What does it mean to you as, and I'm going to say young man, and the reason I'm going to say young man is because we have aspirations. We're taking care of our mind, our bodies, our spirit. So we plan on being here for a long time. What does it mean as a young man to have a vote of confidence like that from your mentor, who is looking at you and says, oh, I see something special in you? What does that do to you on a daily basis? And then what does that do to you when things aren't going great, right? When you're like, man, CJ, I can't get nothing right. Man, it don't look like we're going to make it this month, or we're not achieving at the rate that we want it to. But knowing you have someone, a very successful someone, who is sitting here and saying, hey, I believe in you. I see it, even though you can't see it. How does that make you feel?
Man, it's great, because I remember the things that he teach me and what he taught to me about is about the ebbs and flows of life. Like, hey, you're going to have things that happen in business, CJ. You're going to have business partners that flake on you. You're going to have people that might try to sue you. He's done been through it all. So it's like, when I'm talking to him, I'm talking to a person that has been to the top, but all has been to the bottom on business too, that has recreated himself in different entrepreneur ventures. And when I talk to him, he just give me that reassurance that, hey, man, listen, you're going to have people that come into your life that might not be there for too long. They're going to come for a certain reason and they're going to leave. But with his experience with businesses is really priceless. Those gems and things that he tell me is really priceless.
Good stuff. So I want to sort of borrow some of your knowledge and some of your menteeship that you've gotten from all of your mentors. What is the best piece of advice that you've ever received up to this point in your life?
Man, that's a good one. I had one of my mentors in Chicago. He's passed on now, Dr. Delbert Blair. He was a very smart guy that I met when I was a young man, and he told me, now this guy had 2 master's degrees and a doctorate degree. This guy was super, super smart. He was somebody that at the time I was seeking. I was getting out of the military and I was really trying to find my way. I was trying to find my community or my new family exiting the military. And it took me a while, but I went under his mentorship. And I remember one day I asked him, I said, Dr. Blair, I said, what can you tell me to help me out? Like, what is this life we live in? What is it all about? And he also was a Baptist preacher. He had a congregation of over 500 members in Chicago. So he said, listen, I could tell you something. I could tell you about the great book, or I could tell you about what I think. And I said, well, I grew up in church. I mean, scripture would be good, but I want it from you. What is this all about? And he said, you know what it's about? He said, you decide what this life is about. You decide, CJ. You the person. He said, you tell me what this is about. It's for you to decide. And I said, man, I think back to that time when I had that conversation with him. And I was like, wow. It was profound, because what he said, it stick with me to this day. The most important thing he told me is like, hey, You decide what this world is. So whether you believe it or not, you decide. You make the choice.
And that goes right back to every day we make choices and decisions, right? And
Yes,
so
yes.
our life really is the culmination of those decisions that we make. So I want to ask you, if someone was coming to CJ today in any aspect, in any way, and they said, hey, CJ, I'm starting this journey, I'm starting this new life, I'm starting this path of development or leadership or whatever, and they don't know what to, if someone came to you and just said, CJ, I'm at this point in my life, I don't know what to do. What are you telling them? What are you asking them? What are you sharing with them?
You know what? I would say if you came to me and you just looking like, teach me, tell me something good. I would
Tell
say,
me something good,
listen,
CJ,
where are
please.
you at right now in your life? What are you doing? What's the first thing you do the first 2 hours of every day? That's what I want to know. What you want to do when that alarm or that say, hey, wake up, or that whatever your internal clock is, I want to know, where is your internal clock? What time are you waking up every day? Tell me the first thing you do the first 2 hours of every day, and then I'll tell you where you're going to be at or what's going on with you. Just based off the first 2 hours of the day.
There you
That's
go.
what I want to know first. So if you coming to me, tell me what's the first 2 hours of your day looking like. As soon as you wake up, when God gives you the breath of life and you open your eyes up in the morning, what are you doing?
Good stuff. But because we do know that's going to dictate so much of what happens after that,
Yes.
because those might be the only 2 hours of sanity you get in your day. And if you're squandering those, it's all downhill. Now, you've mentioned, well, we've mentioned that you were in the military. And I know some of my audience, they know that I am the son of a Navy man, the son of a sailor. So I would be remiss if I didn't ask you. Okay, now that's what we wanted to know. What branch did you serve in? Go ahead and tell the audience, CJ. Hey, look, y'all see it? Come on. CJ say, "Don't play with us, man. You
U.S.
know what
Navy,
it
U.S.
is."
Navy. I'm definitely, I'm proud of my service, serving in the military. I still got a lot of good friends that's getting ready to retire. That's showing my age. A lot of them, some of them just retired, and then some of them getting ready to retire. So the Navy, it took me around the world. So it definitely took me to over 15 different countries. I got a chance to visit. Now, my command was very special. My tour of duty. A lot of people in the military don't have the chance to say they've been as many places. Even in the Navy, I talk to people. They be like, "Man, how did you go to that many places?" And I be like, "Well, I had two commands, within 5 years, and we stayed out there. We stayed out."
Okay, so I don't know. You might be too young, but you seen "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker"?
Yeah, yeah,
Hey,
yeah.
so you don't have the typing badge and the medal for shooting paper clips. You were actually outside, right? So I just want to make sure that you didn't get a discharge, or your medical discharge wasn't for paper cuts or nothing like that.
No, 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 no. No,
Okay.
when I was getting out, I actually, because of my job in the Navy, we was actually going to be with Marine battalions. I was chosen, but I got out at the time, luckily, because we was in war. It was when the 9/11 all that happened, and we was going to war, and because I was so highly qualified,
Hold on now.
yeah,
Talk your talk, young man.
I was so highly qualified in the weapons training, 50 cal, M60. I had all this training from my smaller command. Then when I went to the carrier, we had people going from blue to green to go serve with the Marines and they was like, "Hey, you could go, man, and you could get this amount of money and all that." And I'm like, I was already interested in business. Everybody knew that about me. They was like, "Man, CJ always talking that business stuff, man. You gonna stay in the military? You ain't getting out. You ain't getting out." And I had to show them, like, "Yeah, I'm getting out." They said, "Man, you qualified in this, that, this, all these certain things. Like, why would you get out?" And it's like, well, it ain't my calling to stay in here. It was a nice
So
journey.
let me ask you that. How tough is it, or was it tough for you to, because you had a path that you were already walking down a good, and it sounds like it was a good path. And we're talking about from the security side of things, right? Making sure that you had a financial future and that you had benefits and everything coming from that side. Well, was it a challenge for you to say, no, this isn't my calling and I must follow my calling? I can't follow the career path of being this in the military.
Yeah, I had great leaderships. I had a gunner, an officer that was over me, was Gunner Wiggins. He was from South Carolina, country guy, and we had the same last name, right? So he was always saying nephew, nephew. Like he'd be talking to me personally. He wanted me to stay in the military. He was basically mapping out my whole plan. He said, nephew, you gonna be in the military. He was gonna do, he had the red carpet rolled out, and I let him down so hard when I told him, like, look, Gunner, thank you. I appreciate that you respect what I've done in the service. You see what I'm doing, but I got to go. And it let him down so much, man. I think back to that time, I was like, man, I know I had to hurt him because he was definitely trying to reel me in just by telling me, hey, listen, I'll boost you up a rank. Don't worry about it. You're going to get paid the money. I'm going to give you the duty station next where you want to go. I had everything set up, but he just didn't know how interested as I was in getting out or getting into business. He didn't know that because I didn't tell him, but it wasn't that hard. It wasn't that hard. It was hard to kind of let my superior down, my gunner down, just because we built a relationship for those 2 years.
Got it. But okay, so if CJ had to do it over again, does he make the same decision?
Yes, I make the same decision.
Ooh, but that was a quick answer, sir.
Yeah.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, CJ, he paused for a moment simply out of respect to Gunner Wiggins, but he was like, yeah, man, I'm making the same decision. This was the right one because this is my calling.
Yeah.
So if someone is sitting here and they're at that same crossroad that you were, where there's a career path, where it might be the red carpet, the yellow brick road, but inside they know that's not their calling, what do you say to that person?
You definitely have to, you got to be a person that's seeking knowledge. You got to be searching and seeking knowledge consistently because that's what I was doing. So if you're not doing that in a way it's beneficial, then yes, stay. Don't because you still can get to your goal through a consistent income and assistant job. You got to be kind of crazy to do what I did because I had it
No,
rolled out.
you got to be more than kind of crazy. They say we're weirdos, sir. We are the peculiar few.
Listen, when you got it rolled out, you got your duty station rolled out, your advancement rolled out, and you got somebody to go back to back against the captain and the XO about my advancement, you got to be a little crazy. But to say least, you really got to be interested in self-development. At that time, people knew that, hey, this guy is different. This guy always talking about some business venture. I was taking my military money, putting it into business ventures early on, and they knew that I was seeking, reading different books, talking to people that had businesses that was in the military. But I just felt like for me that I would get to where I was going to quicker if I got up under the structure of the military. Because your first job in the military is to serve our great country, right? And I gotta say, it's a great country because I've been around the world and people are not living like how we live in here. We gotta appreciate how we live and we take it for granted. I've been to some places that's very, very poor. Africa, and countries in Asia that's really poor, right? And for anybody out there, just know that, hey, we're blessed. We're blessed.
Good stuff. All right. I have one question and then we're going to go to some rapid fire. So first, I want to thank you for your time. When I say, dude, this has been a breath of fresh air. And we're going to tell people how they can follow you. And make sure that you look at the show notes wherever you're watching or listening to this episode so that you can get in contact with CJ Wiggins. If you were speaking to your 20-year-old self today, what would you tell young CJ?
Oh, man. Trust the process.
Man, that's not sexy. Look, listen, that might be the best advice ever in the world, and we know it. Now, okay, trust the process. What do you mean by that, CJ?
Because you always, as a young man, I was doubtful. I was always saying, well, self improvement, but I was still doubtful. I was like, with that seed of doubt turns into fear. It talks about this in scriptures.
Ooh, come on, sir.
That seed of doubt will grow into fear. And through as a 20-year-old man, you're not sure of anything, right? In the I tell a lot of young guys, listen, be patient, be easy on yourself for trying to know, because you still got years to do this thing we call life, right? You still got years to learn. So I think at that age, at 20, it would have been like, trust the process, don't doubt yourself too much on your ability. Like, because I was doubtful, man. I was really doubtful, especially the military brings so much pressure. Like getting out of the military, and I tell a lot of people that's here, listen, when you get from up under the military thing, you out here. You just out here. You got to figure it out, man. And the military doesn't necessarily have the right resources.
Right.
It's some things there you really got to search for them, right? I did it, but 80% of the military service members they don't go back and lean on the services to help us. So you got to have your own plan. So I was doubtful, but I still had just that mustard seed of faith
Come
to
on,
say,
boy. You better
something can happen here. Something can happen here. I could get out and not stress, because it was a big stressor when I got out. I was stressed out. It's 20, what was I, 25 like that when I got out? I was stressed out, but I was real doubtful, but just to have a little bit of faith in the process.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say something without even asking CJ, but there will be further episodes. This will not be the last time that you see Neal Oates Jr. and CJ Wiggins on screen together. Just because if you all can't tell, there is some chemistry here that God makes no mistakes, that we were put together on purpose. And so, CJ, man, I want to thank you. And so while you were talking to 20-year-old CJ, you were also speaking to 43-year-old Neal, right? Trust the process. Trust the process, the unsexy, mundane, boring, but necessary process in this thing called life. All right. I got some rapid fire questions. Ready to have some fun,
Right.
sir?
Ready.
Now, see, look, you're right back to your training boxing days, man. Now, hold on. Now, I do want to know, people are going to say, man, he mentioned that he was a trainer, that he had some gyms, that he was in Vegas out there. Were you just a trainer? Did you box at all? I'm just curious. So when I see you, and do I have to be very cautious when I walk up on you, CJ?
Yeah, well, I know what I'm doing, and I'm pretty fit, So boxing, I started boxing at what? Not my mom put me in boxing, but I didn't stay that long at 9. I actually came back to it in the military, and then when I got out, it was just like it was normal, man. It was my calling. That was that calling of entrepreneurship in gyms and fitness. My business partner now is one of the top boxing coaches, so shout out Coach DJ. That guy trains all the top world champions right now. We were just talking yesterday about business, but yeah, boxing, man, that's my passion. Fitness, that's a dimension of me. So
See, that's what we're going to get into on the next episode.
Yeah.
That we and CJ together,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, he's gonna help us get our mental and our physical together, make sure that we can be here for decades so that we can mentor others when we're into our season 70s. All right, so I do want to say, now that I know that you know what you're doing with those hands, you don't have to answer any of these questions if to make you feel uncomfortable. I don't want you to come look for me at the end of this. So you ready to rock and roll, sir?
Right. I got to come a long ways. I got to go to 305, right? I got to go to Miami.
Hey, I mean, listen, I'm like good luggage. I will travel, right? I will meet you. I will come to you. So here's what I learned. I will pay. And this is what, because I saw you do it with your mentor, right? We will travel. We will pay for knowledge. We will pay for experience. We will pay because we don't look at it as a cost. We always look at it as an investment.
You're right.
And so that's exciting. And being a financial guy, I know that you're like, oh, yeah, Neal. And then we might be able to help you with some savings too, how to write some of this stuff off. All right. So I'm going to tread lightly, but here we go.
All right.
Favorite color?
Orange.
Orange. That's an odd favorite color. You know what? I have done I have done 100+ episodes, and you were the first person to ever say orange. Can I
Orange,
ask
a
why?
bright. I'm from Florida, so orange was my favorite color all the time. Florida Gator fan, growing up, orange.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like from the U.
No,
I thought you were.
no. That's down. That's from the south. That's down south.
Oh my
I'm more
goodness.
closer to Gainesville. Like I'm not too far away from Gainesville, where I grew up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, don't hold a grudge. That was a rough way to start out. We should have
I
just
mean,
stuck
I'm
with
not
the
hating
orange.
Miami. I love Miami. I love being there. Obviously, I love the weather, the food, the culture. I love it. I can't wait to go back.
Okay. All right. So orange. Favorite food.
Ooh, that's a good one. I like fish, man. I'm a Florida boy, so
You can't just say fish.
I
Give
mean
me
any type
something.
of fish. If it's swimming, I mean anybody know this about me, right? I'm salmon. I'm a red snapper. What else? My
If it got if it got fins, it's in trouble.
I will eat it. I will eat it. I mean, I was a vegan for a lot of years, but I came back to eating fish. That was the first thing. I was on my health journey, right? I was doing that, the whole vegan thing, but I don't call it anything now. It's just eating healthy. But I love
Right.
fish. If you put a fish
All
in
right.
front of me, yeah.
Batman or Superman?
I'm a Batman, man. I'm a Batman guy. I think because the Bruce Wayne, the whole I like the Batman and Bane. I got the whole comic book series at my house. I got the Batman and Bane uh, comic book series at my house in my bookshelf.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not saying that CJ is Batman. I'm just saying you've never seen both of them in the same place at the same time. Just think about that, okay? Just think about that.
It could be the
Mickey
Black
Mouse or
Batman,
hey, the Black Batman. Mickey Mouse or Bugs Bunny?
the Bugs Bunny.
All right. Hey, my man, that's what I'm talking about. One talent that you don't have that you wish you did.
Hmm.
Because I know you've got 100 talents, and then why'd you say I have all the talents that I want? But go
Probably,
ahead.
probably sing. You know, my sisters are singers, right? I'm the percussionist. I do the drums. You know, I could play instruments, but I can't sing really. And I
Man,
just look,
really?
yeah.
You look like you could be part of like New Edition.
No,
You know what I'm saying? Look like you could be out there with
nah,
who
I
else could
can't.
it be? See, you could be with Jagged. Like your age, you could pass. You could go with Jagged Edge and all them. No, you ain't got it.
Jagged Edge. Nah, I can't sing, man. I like listening to music growing up. I love music though. My cousin in LA is an artist, so I definitely like music. I like being in around music, right? But I can't sing. I would like.
Oh, okay, so now because I believe in you, would you like to give us a sample so the audience can determine whether or not CJ Wiggins can sing?
Woo, I can
Wait,
hum.
no. That was enough right there. You heard that whoo, and you hit
Yeah.
like 6 notes right there. It's okay. Last thing, the one movie that you watch every single time. If you're flipping through channels and this movie is on, you're gonna stop and watch it. What is it?
Oh, that's a good one. If I was flipping through, ah man, cult classic, The Last Dragon.
No, you're not. You're not what. CJ, why you falling into all the stereotypes, man?
Yes,
Brother,
Bruce
brother,
Leroy. Leroy,
listen, you know
are
you
you
can't
warmed
do
up
that.
yet?
Hey man, we gonna have our audience right here trying to get the Bruce Leroy glow. You know what I mean?
Man,
So when you read the Bible and it says who's the master, you don't say the Lord God. You say show enough. You know what I'm saying? Come on, CJ Wiggins,
no.
man. It has been a treat, a privilege, and a pleasure, sir.
Blessings, brother.
I do want to ask, in closing, to our audience, to our viewers, is there anything that you want to share with them as they close out this episode today on Beyond the Velvet Rope?
Yes, well, you can follow me on my social media, Claudius J on YouTube. I'm uploading videos. You know, I talk a little bit about entrepreneurship, taxes, real estate. I will be, me and my business partner, DJ, we got a website coming called The Blueprint 2, the number 2 to Prosperity, where we're going to be, me and him going to team up together. We got a mastermind group. Should be up later this week, so you can go follow us or go and book or join the group on the blueprint2prosperity.com. Like I say, social media, Claudius J, throughout social media land. So, and you can email me too If you got any questions, at CJ at Hawaii Tax Wealth Solutions with an S.com. So if you got any inquiries that you want to contact me.
And so for those of you who are listening while you're driving, walking, exercising, don't worry. Make sure you pin this episode. Go back to the show notes. All of CJ Claudius J. Wiggins' contact info, his handles are going to be there. I know that this has been a treat for me. I believe and hope and pray that it has been a treat for you, our audience. CJ, I want to thank you. This has been uplifting for me. It's been something that I can not only share, but I get to digest it as well as I go back and edit and then make sure that I listen to it as soon as this is released. Ladies and gentlemen, CJ Wiggins, myself, Neal Oates Jr., we thank you for listening. Be sure to leave a comment in the comment section. Let us know what you thought. If you have questions for CJ, put those here, or he will have his email address in the show notes. Shoot those over there to CJ. He is a wealth of knowledge and maybe one of the most connected individuals that I've ever had on the show. CJ, I thank you. I appreciate you. Family, we want to remind you that we love you, God loves you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And until the next time we see you or you see us, don't be average, be world renowned. Peace.
Aloha. Aloha.